Okay, I gotta ask, it really stood out to me when you were describing language for invitation. And I think it's really important here to distinguish what Nicki's describing as the starting point for folks, and then where you eventually get led to when you actually attend church, and how those are very, very different. The starting point is not the end point. But you said one word we're not gonna use in talking about Easter to folks that don't know anything about church is the word resurrection.
And so I'm not gonna say the word Calvary, I'm not gonna say the word resurrection, I'm not gonna say the blood of Jesus, right? I'm not gonna say any of these words that make someone feel like an outsider. This is really important, an important guiding principle for how we develop language.
I think saying, we plead the blood of Christ over you, I think it's understandable why we might not use that language, but it's so common in church to be like, you know what's next week? Resurrection Sunday. We often retitle Easter to put that directly into the name. So can you talk about like the decision for why not to use something like that for someone that might be like, wait a minute, why can't we use that?
So just to like be clear, we'll use that in church. You'll hear Pastor Stephen say that, you'll hear our hosts say that from stage. Where we're not using that is outside. And that's because resurrection is not an everyday conversation. If you talk to someone who doesn't know Christ, they are never going to say the word resurrection. It's just not like, it's just not gonna be, it's not a word that's in normal language.
Apologies, I'm slightly sick. I had planned to do a faceless video on this or wait till I get better, but no, there's no way. I really don't care. I can be the ugliest version of myself, but this has to be said. It is absolutely preposterous. The dumbest thing you can do in spreading the message of Christ and the miracle of our salvation in Him is relying on your own understanding. That's gotta be the dumbest thing to do as a believer, and you better hear it from me. The fact that a church can tolerate censoring some words, Calvary, resurrection, because people, when they hear those words, they will think and feel like they're outsiders. Have you any idea what Christ went through to give you that salvation? Have you any idea what the apostles went through to spread the gospel of Christ?
Hey, let's listen to this.
Went to the barber shop, so happy and pleased I was going to get a good haircut from a barber I trust. And when it came time for my appointment, the receptionist come out and said, "Mr. Cunningham, I'm sorry, but your barber had to leave on an emergency. He's not here today, but Julie can cut your hair if you want her to." And I thought, well, I'm here. I need a haircut. Julie will be just fine. About 2 minutes later, a girl stepped around the petition. She had hair that was sticking straight up in spikes. Some of it was purple, some of it was blue, some of it was yellow, some of it was orange.
The story might not make sense now, but trust me, you've seen the title, it will make sense. So hold on just for a minute and let's listen.
That girl must have had 100 piercings in her face, all around her ears, her lips, her nose. I mean, in the sides of her eyes, she was all pierced up. And under the piercing was all kind of painting. She had on polka dot pants and a plaid shirt. She had on 2 different color socks, and her shoes didn't match. She said, "I'm Julie. Are you Jack?" If it wasn't for wanting to please God, I'd have said, "No, ma'am. Jack said tell you he had to leave." And I thought, well, I'll just endure it. And I went and sat down, and I did like I do too often. I thought I'll just go to sleep. I'll just sit down here and close my eyes and rest while this girl cuts my hair, and I hope she hurries up. There couldn't be anything in the world her and I would have in common. There couldn't be anything on earth she and I'd want to talk about. She wouldn't want to hear anything I got to say. I certainly don't want to hear anything she's got to say. I apologize, but that's what was going through my mind. While she's cutting my hair, she said, "Where do you work?" said, well, I work over here at the World Evangelism Center, go to the end of I-70 and right where it butts into 270, that big building right there. And she said, oh yeah, I was there the other day. I said, you were at World Evangelism Center the other day? She said, yeah, you have a bookstore in there, don't you? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, my mama is a cocaine addict. My uncle is a hopeless cocaine addict. She said, somebody gave my mama one of those videos on Left Behind. And she said, we all sat down in the living room and watched it. And she said, I don't know nothing about God. And I don't know nothing about the church. And I don't know nothing about the Bible. But she said, when I was finished watching it, I knew I didn't want to go to hell. She said, I went to your bookstore and bought a Bible. She said, I don't know how else to find out anything about God. She said, I just bought a Bible and I'm going to start reading it through. She said, I've had it 2 days now. I've already read. And she named some books that she had been reading from. But she said, I really don't understand anything about it. And when I looked in the mirror, tears are streaming down her face. The other people that are cutting hair have quit cutting hair. And now they're listening to her talk. And some of them got tears in their eyes. And when I got up out of that chair, I said, Julie, I want to apologize to you for not telling you about Jesus. I said, but if you'll stay here, I'm going to go to my office and get a Bible study. And me and you's going to sit out there on that park bench and I'm going to give you a Bible study and help you know about Jesus.
Yes. Yes.
We don't have a right to determine who can hear and who can't.
That right there, that's the message. We have absolutely no right to determine who can hear and who can't. You've seen the title of the video, you know what I'm about to talk about. And so I'm not going to take a lot of time introducing this. Apologies, I'm slightly sick. I had planned to do a faceless video on this or wait till I get better, but no, there's no way. I really don't care. I can be the ugliest version of myself, but this has to be said. It is absolutely preposterous. The dumbest thing you can do in spreading the message of Christ and the miracle of our salvation in Him is relying on your own understanding. That's got to be the dumbest thing to do as a believer, and you better hear it from me. The fact that a church can tolerate censoring some words, Calvary, resurrection, because people, when they hear those words, they will think and feel like they're outsiders. Have you any idea what Christ went through to give you that salvation? Have you any idea what the apostles went through to spread the gospel of Christ? My goodness, Paul was the outsider among the Gentiles. The apostles were a cult among the Jewish people. They weren't busy telling people, hey, come, get to a church, get to attend this Easter service, do this, and this. They were preaching a reality that happened, that Jesus died and rose again, and rose again, and rose again. Paul was out here while we were busy censoring words for the sake of other people. He was out there debating with the philosophers of those days, not caring not caring what made sense and what made logic in their thinking line, in their logic, to prove that the resurrection of Christ was indeed true, and it is a foretaste of what everyone who believes in Him will experience. The fact that you need a marketing strategy to propagate the gospel of Christ already speaks to the fact that you are undermining the power of God unto salvation. Since when did it rely on the understanding and the wisdom of men to make the miracle that transforms the hearts of men from evil to Christ-likeness? My goodness. I'm so pissed. And for those who are saying, no, it's just an invite so that they may go in and and hear the actual resurrection message from our pastor. What? Did God command only pastors to preach the gospel? Did Mark 16 or Matthew 28 only exist for Elevation Church's lead pastor? I'm sorry I'm saying this. What prevents you? My God, the invite you're giving this person could be the last message. The last message. You could give this person your invite and he could go and get hit by a truck, and there you will be guilty that you did not give him the salvation of his life and the road to eternity, but an invitation to a church. You feel guilty that you rather acted like a conduit to go and fill up your church and listen to your pastor than plant the seed of truth in him and let Christ work in him. Have you any idea? Have we become so used to dumbing down the gospel? Being unaware of how desperate people are for this gospel, that you'd rather fill our church, do things in fear of who God is, or in fear of who they might perceive God to be, than tell them the truth that Christ died to make a reality. That is my thought process on it. I'm not going to speak any longer on this. I'm done. That's all I had to share. But in all honesty, shame on you if you defend that. I'm sorry. Invite is not an excuse. And I've said this with a lot of love, because look at this. I am happy. I am proud that it did not depend on it don't depend on my actions to attain salvation. I am proud that my works are only a fruit of the true miracle that happened in Calvary, that had absolutely nothing to do with me or anything I could do for that matter, that Jesus freely gave me a gift that we now celebrate. And no marketing strategy, no omission, nothing can make for the power that is in the gospel. If you have learned anything from this video, I'm sorry for the continuous rant. I'm sorry for seemingly being angry. I'm pissed. Yes, I'm angry, very. But I'm saying this with a lot of love. You've had anything that is worthwhile, kindly like and share the video. You can even subscribe. Let as many people as there are listen to this video. And if you're in a position to kindly support the channel through my PayPal, there is one in the description, or Mpesa if you're Kenyan. But that's only at your own prerogative. But at no cost, in no circumstance, should you be ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. It took so much for us to even have a platform to boldly approach the throne of mercy. My name is Rekin Mwenda, and this is the King Christian. I hope to see you on the next one. God bless. God bless.